Hello, my name is Chloe, welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing to you my latest edition of books I've unhauled lately. So please kind of excuse what I look like. I have just filmed my December wrap up and there were quite a lot of books that I've unhauled. So what I do when I read books now, I keep them all out in a stack and then at the end of the month I put them in either my unhaul pile, put them back on my shelves. So I had my unhaul box out. So it's finally time to film this video and I would not have the motivation to get this box out again if I put it away. So I believe there are 44 books to talk you through today. A lot of them have already gone out of my physical possession, but for the purpose of this video I haven't unhauled them, so it's time to do that. I do like to let you know every single book that I've unhauled. I don't quite know why. It's just something I feel like being fully transparent on. I have a lot of books and I'm always complaining about space, but then I'm hauling a lot of books. So I want you guys to be able to see where these books have gone. And it's also a really good way where if you are interested in any of these books, I'd quite like to get them across to you. There are a few books here where I am more than happy to just accept a contribution for postage. A few I have listed for sale because they're like nice editions or signed or things like that. But quite a few of these, if you want to give me the money for postage, they're all yours. So it's also my way of getting that information across to you in case these are any books that you're looking for. So let's just get started. I won't say too much about them because there's a lot on here. The first one is The One by Maria Ralph. I think this went to Laura, but I actually have no idea. This was a cute adult romance, but it just wasn't something I wanted to read again, so it's gone. Next I have Angus Thongs and Full Frontal Snogging by Louise Renison, which is the first book in the Confessions of Georgia Nicholson series. I have got this whole series and I'm unhauling them as I read them, so you will see more come up on this list, but that one I've already sold. The first book I have physically is This Monstrous Thing by Mackenzie Lee. This is a Frankenstein retelling and this hasn't gone. I have got it listed for sale in a couple of places. It is a really, really nice edition, if I do say so myself. And I'm very sad that this is going, but I didn't enjoy it that much. I think I gave it 3 stars, maybe less than that, so I don't need to keep it around. Next, I have Boys Don't Cry by Mallory Blackman, which I gave to somebody in the Facebook group I am an admin of. This is a cute YA contemporary. It was one of my favourites as a teenager. I reread it recently and I just don't think I need to keep it. Well, it's already gone. I didn't think I need to keep it around. If I wanted to pick it up again, I could go for the library. It's just not something I needed to physically keep. Next, I have The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware, which I passed over to Christina. If I mention anyone's names, by the way, they will be in the description. Christina had this on her wish list, so she may as well have had it. This was a thriller I gave, I think 3.5 stars. It was good, I just didn't absolutely love it, so it was time to pass it on. Next, I have the second book in the Georgia Nicholson series, It's Okay, I'm Wearing Really Big Knickers. So same thing there. I've read it, didn't love it, unhauled. Next, I have 2 books to talk about together, Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth and Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Do I mean the Lightning Thief? Okay, I don't mean the Lightning Thief. I mean Percy Jackson and the book number 4 or 3. It will be here. I'll put it on the screen, whichever one I mean. I bought the whole Percy Jackson series and then I'm reading them and putting them in my pile ready to give to Brittany when I next am able to see her because she likes the editions I have. They're okay. I've been enjoying them, but it's time to go. Next, I have another one I have physically, which is Beware the Wild by Natalie C. Parker. This I wanted to love. It's a YA horror about a fantasy horror about a swamp. It was good, it was okay, but it just wasn't everything I wished it to be and I'm not going to read it again, so it needs to go. Next, well, I have another one I still have physically and that is Shut Out by Cody Keplinger, which is the author of The Duff. This is a book, yes, I remember this one. Okay, this is a YA contemporary about a school, Hamilton High, where there is a American football team and a soccer or English football team. And the girlfriends are not happy anymore because the boys in both teams are in a constant rivalry. So the girls decide to go on a sex strike. This was a fun read, but I'm never going to read it again, so it needs to go. Next, I have one that's going to annoy a few people, and that is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I tried to read this a couple times last year. It was on my 20 books I wanted to read in 2020, and I just never got to it. I tried the audiobook as well. I couldn't do it, so I unhauled it. I also unhauled It by Stephen King, the absolute mammoth that this book was. I was so proud to get through this. It's nearly 1,200 pages long, well my copy was anyway, and I finally read it, but I knew I was never going to reread it, so it had to go. Next we have The Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare. I'm going through all of Cassandra Clare's works in publication order. So I read The Bane Chronicles. Actually I read it out of order, but that's not the point. And I enjoyed it, but I didn't need to keep it. It was absolutely huge, taking up too much space, so it's gone. Next I have The Truth and Lies of Ella Black by Emily Barr, which I actually had an ARC of, so it was sent to my friend Sue. Like obviously you can't sell ARCs, so I sent it to Sue because she had heard about it and she was interested. This book I hated, I gave it 1 star, so I don't really want to talk about it anymore. Similarly with The Price Guide to the Occult by Leslie Walton, this wasn't an ARC, but I did absolutely hate that book. It's another 1.5 star read. I'm not sure if my worst books of 2020 video has gone up yet, so I won't talk too much about it, but yeah, I hated it, so it's gone. Next, I unhauled an entire series. I unhauled The Raven Boys, The Dream Thieves, Blue Lily Lily Blue, and The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. So I had read The Raven Boys before and gave it 3.5 stars, and I tried to read the second book and I just wasn't interested, and I sort of just came to the realisation that I was never going to read it. There was no point me hanging on to it, and it could leave my life. Next, I actually have a present from the lovely Sue, but I just know I'm never going to read it again, and that is Girl in a Bad Place by Caitlin Ward. This is a YA story about a girl who accidentally joins a cult, and it wasn't that great. It was good, but it wasn't great, and it's a very short book, and personally, I feel like much more could have been done with this, so I'm not going to keep it. Next, another Georgia Nicholson book, so this should be number 3, Knocked Out by My Nunga Nungas. Same as before, read it, don't need to keep it. Next, I have a book I did actually enjoy, or I gave it 3.5 stars, but I passed it along to Emily for Christmas because it's a gorgeous edition, and that is We Must Be Brave by Frances Leadet. This is a World War II evacuee story, kind of, but about a mom, like a woman who desires to be a mom and she's not, and there's a lot going on in this, but it was a really good time, and I hope Emily enjoys that one. Next, speaking of Emily, I had a buddy read with her that I'm unhauling, and that is The Keeper of Lost Things by Ruth Hogan. This, again, it was a 2.5, 3 star, I think, maybe 2.5 stars. I really should make a note of these. I just didn't love it. It's an adult, contemporary, like literary fiction style story. Not always my cup of tea, and this one, it just wasn't my thing. Now I have The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, which again, speaking of Emily, it went to Emily. This was a 2-star book for me. I buddy read it with Christina, I believe, who I've already mentioned, so she will be linked in the description. Apologies if I've got that wrong, I'm gonna feel really bad now. I'm pretty sure I read it with Christina. I've read a lot recently. This is a adult thriller, and didn't love it. Next we have another Cody Keplinger, A Midsummer's Nightmare. What was this one? Oh yeah, this one was about Whitley, who she spends all the summers with her dad, and then her dad has like a new family which she doesn't know about. She turns up and a guy she slept with a couple nights before is her new stepbrother. It was a good time, but I'm just never going to read it again. Next we have one I was really disappointed by, and people are going to hate me for it, and that is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I gave this 3 stars. It's an adult contemporary about a woman going through a lot of stuff. It's a booktube darling. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I didn't like it, so it's going. Next we have The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware, which I actually sold yesterday, so it's packaged up. Ruth Ware is a very hit or miss author for me. As I said, The Death of Mrs. Westaway I gave 3.5 stars. Woman in Cabin 10, I hated, genuinely hated, and it's gone from my life. I don't want to talk about it. Next we have Spouselinger by Sebastian de Castell. So this one I actually sold to a member of the bookish community. Her username is Books and Ink, but for some reason my brain is completely blanking on her actual name, but it's Books and Ink, and she'll be linked in the description. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I've read this before, 3 stars, and was given a lovely edition, which I didn't need. The next Georgia Nicholson, Dancing in My Nutty Pants by Louise Renison. This is as far as I've read with the series, so this one's also going. We have book number 5, it's on my January TBR, so that will probably be going in my next unhaul. Next, a buddy read I had with Alice, which is Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple. I don't want to trash this one too much. I just did my December wrap up and I don't want to talk about it all again. But this was just a bit of a letdown for me, and I ended up rating it 2 stars, so it needs to go. Next one I didn't rate, and I just don't need to have it around anymore, is Sleepovers by Jacqueline Wilson. It is a teeny tiny book. If anyone wants to give me like the pound that this will cost for postage, it is all yours. This is just a children's story about 5 girls who have sleepover birthday parties, and it was fine. Next, another one I'm really disappointed by is Picture Me Gone by Meg Rossoff, which I read in December and rated 1 star. But I have a gorgeous hardback edition that is signed. So I'm mad that I hated this, but I hated it, so it has to go. Next, Jacqueline Wilson I completely hated. Buried Alive by Jacqueline Wilson. I've just said her name twice. I have a pretty old beat up copy, so part of me wants to just put it in the recycling bin, but I know I can't do that, and I'm not taking a trip to a charity shop anytime soon. And I'm not sure whether anyone can with the new tiers. When this video is published, you're probably like, what are you on about? And what I'm hoping that we can go out again. But yeah, I hated it. Don't want to talk about it too much. December wrap up if you want to know. Next I have The Declaration by Gemma Malley, which was gifted to me by the lovely Emily, but I just didn't love it. It was a 3 star for me. It's a YA dystopian and it was just a little bit lacking. This one is free to anybody if you want to contribute to postage, because we have a mysterious stain on it which I'm not sure about, and some water damage, so you know, if you want it, let me know if you just want to enjoy the story. Oh, another Percy Jackson. We have Percy Jackson and the Last Olympian, which is the 5th book in the series. I read it in December, and again, it's in my pile of books to give to Brittany. We also have All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda, which I read in December. This is actually the copy I showed in a previous unhaul. I had 2 pretty bad copies, but somebody bought the one I actually read, so it's still showing the same book, but I still have a copy. This was fine. It was a 3 star YA thriller. Just didn't blow my socks off. Now I was putting some books back on my shelves and pulled a few off that I know I'm not going to read again. The first one being Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I've read this twice now and I just don't need to keep it around. This is about twins, Kath and Ren, who go away to college and they're just sort of learning how to cope without the other of the twin. It was fine, but I'm never going to read it again. I've already read it twice. Another one that I'm sort of conflicted about, but the fact I've had the thought means it needs to go, and that is We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. I did enjoy this one. I just can't see myself ever picking it up again, and it's a chunker. It's taking up too much space, so it needs to go. Being Brutal. Now, one I'm really disappointed by, and that is The Escape Room by Maren Stoffels. I was so looking forward to this book, and it was a 2 star read for me. This is a YA thriller, I guess. I'm so disappointed by it, but it has to go. It doesn't take up that much space, but it needs to go. Another one that I read and did enjoy, I buddy read this with Helen, but I actually listened to the audiobook while I was reading, and I know I'm going to have access to the audiobook moving forward. Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I just didn't love it. I have a very big copy of it. I don't need it. I'm being brutal. I'm limited on space. Now I have one of the books I've actually enjoyed the most this year. It was not a 5 star read, but it's definitely a good time. And that is The Merciless by Danielle Vega. The only reason I'm getting rid of this is I have a hardback copy and I have a hardback of the sequel, so the paperback can go. If you'd like to hear full thoughts, go check out our live show on this. It'll be in the description, but this was mine and Brittany's sister's approximately pick for November, so I do have full thoughts up on my channel. My hair is doing that weird thing. I hate glasses sometimes. Oh, you had a flash of Chloe without glasses. Hope you enjoyed. Right, last 3. I have 3 books that I bought when I did my massive Jacqueline Wilson haul, and they were just duplicates, so they need to go. We have starring Tracy Beaker, we have Jackie Daydream, and we have A Christmas Cracker. So all of these, which I've just dropped, all of these can go because I don't need 2 copies of books. So I think that was 44 books. Editing Chloe is going to have a great day. I can't wait. But on that note, please do feel free to drop me a comment if there's any of these you are desperately interested in, and I will try and sort you out. But on that note, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.